Friends, fellow architects of unwavering futures, I present to you not merely a theory, but a profound blueprint for reality itself. Have you ever wondered why some individuals, seemingly without greater advantages, command their world into being, while others endlessly react to its whims? The profound secret, I assure you, lies in a hidden power you already possess: your assumptions. Your life, you see, meticulously bends to your assumptions. The way you expect things to go is precisely the way they usually go, not by some arbitrary twist of fate, but by the sheer, undeniable force of your focused thought. Your dominant thoughts are not just fleeting ideas, they are powerful magnets, pulling circumstances, opportunities, and even the very people you need into perfect alignment with your inner world. So, I challenge you now, with unwavering sincerity, what if you operated from this very moment, from the unshakable conviction that everything is working out for you, even when it's hard, even when it's silent, even when there's no proof? What if you lived like the outcome was absolutely certain, like the door to your grandest aspiration was already open, waiting only for you to walk through it? This, my friends, is not the fleeting comfort of wishful thinking. No, this is profound mental engineering, the very blueprint that allowed history's greatest minds to rise through failure, conquer criticism, and utterly defy the insidious grip of fear. Consider Henry Ford. He didn't merely hope things would work out, he decided they would. He poured his belief into the unknown long before the world even believed it was possible. When everyone declared the automobile a fantasy, he built factories. Thomas Edison, facing thousands of failed prototypes, didn't doubt after his first, his 100th, or his 10,000th attempt. Why? Because he assumed success was inevitable. He didn't need to see it. He carried it in his mind and acted as if it was already his. Charles Schwab, the titan of industry, didn't operate from fear. He operated from an unshakable faith in his vision, a faith so strong that entire steel empires were shaped by it. His certainty was contagious. His belief compelled other men to follow. And Andrew Carnegie, the man who transformed industry and amassed unimaginable wealth in America, did he ask, "What if this doesn't work?" Never. He moved as if the results were already secured. That, my friends, is the very energy that builds legacies. So I ask you directly, why not you? Why not now? Why not today? You have lingered long enough in the shadows of worry, wasted precious time in hesitation, and whispered insidious stories rooted in fear. Now, the moment has arrived to utterly rewrite that script, because the version of you that hesitates, that overthinks, that shrinks when life's symphony becomes loud, cannot, absolutely cannot, coexist with the version of you that walks in certainty. You cannot serve two minds. One must yield. Today, I hand you a new frame, a new filter, a new standard by which to live. Act as if everything always works out, not because it's guaranteed, but because this profound assumption renders you utterly unstoppable. When you embrace the inevitability of your success, you move with unparalleled courage, you speak with unshakable authority, and you command your life instead of perpetually negotiating with its circumstances. This very discourse is your reset, your new operating system, and it is not to be heard once or twice, but to be repeated daily, relentlessly, until your subconscious accepts this certainty as immutable law, until the insidious tendrils of doubt wither and perish in the profound presence of your inner calm. For fear, my friends, cannot possibly reside where faith already reigns supreme. The very moment you begin to live in profound alignment with the assumption that your desired outcome is already secured, you, by that very act, utterly destroy fear. So, listen with every fiber of your being. Speak these truths aloud. Allow them to permeate your nervous system like potent fuel. For what we are embarking upon is not mere motivation, it is a profound reprogramming. And by the conclusion of this hour, you will not think the same way. You will not move the same way, and you will not be the same person. Let us begin this transformative journey. Let's initiate this profound journey with a single question. A question so potent, it holds the power to utterly rewrite the entire narrative of your life. What if it all works out? Not merely the trivialities, not just the comfortable outcomes, but all of the unforeseen setbacks, the agonizing delays, the searing pain, the oppressive silence, the perplexing detours, those moments when absolutely nothing seemed to make sense. What if every single fragment of that struggle, every arduous piece, is meticulously building the exact version of you, the precise individual required for the very dream you have so passionately invoked? The vast majority of humanity, tragically, does not dwell in the boundless realm of this possibility. Instead, they live in perpetual worry. They awaken each morning bracing for the inevitable onslaught of failure. Their conversations are riddled with worst-case scenarios. They anticipate betrayal. They brace themselves for the bottom to fall out, even when life's tide is demonstrably rising. And because of this crippling expectation, they unconsciously, yet powerfully, direct the entirety of their precious energy toward the very things they fear, instead of what they want. But there exists another way to live, a profound alternative that demands no fanfare, requires no pretense of perfection, and simply asks one singular thing from you: to believe before you see. For here, my friends, is the unvarnished truth. Belief isn't a reaction, belief is a choice, and that choice, by its very nature, precisely directs the formidable energy of your mind. Your subconscious mind, that incredibly powerful engine, does not argue with your directives. It simply accepts whatever you feed it, and then, with unwavering dedication, it builds your reality around that assumption. If you constantly affirm, "Things never work for me," your subconscious promptly replies, "Understood," and immediately begins filtering your entire world through that insidious lens. That becomes precisely what you begin to notice, what you invariably expect, and, with chilling precision, what you undeniably attract, not because of some mystical enchantment, but because you have, by your own volition, ceased looking for anything else. Now, imagine the profound opposite. Imagine waking each day, no matter the circumstance, with this quiet, yet unwavering command operating in the background of your consciousness: everything is working out for me. Even if you're broke, even if you've been betrayed, even if the path isn't clear yet, you still move, you still execute, you still build like the foundation is solid and the doors are already opening. That singular belief, consistently practiced, has the power to utterly rewire the entirety of your life. For when you assume things are working in your favor, you become profoundly calmer under pressure, infinitely more patient in the often agonizing waiting, and you move with an undeniable power, even when external evidence remains elusive. This, my friends, is not self-delusion. This is the highest form of self-leadership. Thomas Edison once declared, with profound insight, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This statement reveals more than mere perseverance. It reveals a man who, from the very outset, assumed the incandescent light bulb was already his. It was simply a matter of time. He didn't ask, "What if this never happens?" Instead, his relentless pursuit was driven by the question, "What else can I try? Because I know it's coming." That precise mindset, my friends, is the fundamental distinction between the individual who folds after 3 setbacks and the one who ultimately ascends to legend. Henry Ford, when his very own investors scoffed at the audacious idea of a car for the common man, did he attempt to justify himself with mere words? Did he shrink into the debilitating grip of fear? No, he moved forward with unshakable conviction, like the world was wrong and his vision was already done. This, my friends, is not arrogance. It is assumption, meticulously paired with unwavering discipline. It is the profound decision to act as if your vision is already working, even when your physical eyes cannot yet perceive it. The weak patiently await external proof. The powerful, by contrast, Move as if the proof already exists. This profound mindset gifts you something invaluable. It utterly removes the insatiable need for external validation. It supplants the paralyzing grip of panic with an unshakable posture of certainty. And it meticulously installs a new belief system within your deepest consciousness. The outcome is certain. I just haven't arrived yet. So, I ask you once more, with profound urgency, what if it all works out? What if the seemingly agonizing delay was, in truth, a divine orchestration? What if the pain of betrayal was, in fact, a profound act of protection? What if the confusion that clouds your path is, at its core, the very raw material of construction? What if the very thing you currently label a setback is the precise detour, the essential redirect that will profoundly introduce you to the version of yourself you are destined to become, the one you actually need to manifest your grandest dreams? You see, once you meticulously install that powerful assumption, once it becomes your unwavering default setting, you no longer fear the unknown, you actively welcome it. For the unknown, my friends, is not your adversary. No, it is the profound evidence that something immeasurably grander is in the process of forming, and your singular, sacred duty is to keep moving forward, to continue building, even when the process feels mundane and uninspiring, to lead with unwavering conviction, even when there is no applause, no external validation, to act as if the outcome is irrevocably locked in, even if the scoreboard currently displays a losing position. For the scoreboard, you see, cannot possibly measure the indomitable strength of your spirit. It doesn't track your faith. It doesn't see what's building behind the scenes. Only you, and you alone, possess that intimate knowledge. Only you truly understand the profound depth of this unwavering decision. So, speak these words to yourself right now, with unshakable conviction. I live as if everything is working for me. I don't panic. I prepare. I don't beg for signs. I build in silence, and I will not fold, because I've already decided the ending. This, my friends, is not mindset fluff. This is mental warfare. It is the conscious, unwavering choice to walk through the very heart of chaos with an unshakable order meticulously cultivated within your mind. For once you have decisively concluded how this ends, you don't need to flinch, not even for a moment, at the often tumultuous middle. Act as if everything works out, and I assure you, with every fiber of my being, soon, it will, because what the mind irrevocably accepts, the world, with unwavering precision, begins to mirror. There is one quality, above all others, that profoundly separates the aimless drifter from the purposeful builder, of the lost from the unequivocally locked in, the man who merely observes life unfolding from the man who, with his own hands, powerfully shapes it. That paramount quality, my friends, is definiteness of purpose. It is a clear, unwavering, utterly unshakable aim, a target so deeply etched, so intensely burned into the very core of your subconscious mind that it becomes absolutely impossible to ignore. Even in the oppressive silence, even in the sting of failure, even in the insidious grip of doubt, this, my friends, is not a vague, ephemeral dream, not a casual list of fleeting goals, not a whimsical wish list typed into a phone at midnight and then carelessly forgotten by the morning's light. No, this is purpose, meticulously written with fire, carried with unwavering discipline, and fiercely protected with the very essence of your life. For without a definite purpose, your precious energy scatters aimlessly. Your invaluable hours are mercilessly stolen by every passing distraction. Your profound focus is ruthlessly hijacked by the next shiny, alluring object. You find yourself chasing a dozen paths, yet mastering none. You build halfway, only to abandon your efforts. You tragically mistake frantic movement for genuine momentum, fleeting activity for profound achievement, and mere noise for true direction. But when you truly become a man with definiteness of purpose, something truly remarkable occurs. Your path immediately narrows with laser precision. Your vision sharpens with crystalline clarity. You cease waking each morning wondering what the day will bring, and instead, you begin to command the day to deliver precisely what you have already irrevocably decided. That, my friends, is raw power. That is the very genesis of profound transformation. Look at every man who has, in any significant way, altered the course of history, and you will discover, undeniably, a profound purpose propelling each of his monumental steps. Henry Ford did not merely aim to accumulate wealth someday. He decisively chose to revolutionize transportation, and he pursued that singular objective with a focus so sharp, so relentless, that the entire world had no choice but to adjust to his vision. Charles Schwab did not merely dabble in his endeavors. He possessed an absolute knowing of precisely what he was destined to build, what Carnegie specifically needed, and his purpose, I assure you, was so incredibly magnetic that others willingly followed, not because he demanded it, but because his profound clarity rendered hesitation utterly impossible. Abraham Lincoln did not, by any stretch of the imagination, simply drift into greatness. No, he made a decision so clear, so unequivocally final, that not even a deeply divided nation could shake it loose from his unwavering resolve. That, my friends, is precisely what you need right now, a final, unshakable decision, a profound line drawn in the sand, a single, potent sentence that lives, breathes, and vibrates in your very bones, so lucid, so undeniably clear, that your entire mind orbits around it every single day. So, I ask you directly, do you, right now, know your purpose? Do you know, without the faintest shadow of a doubt, what you are unequivocally here to do? Because if not, let me assure you, no strategy, no intricate system, no fleeting motivational video will ever truly save you. Your progress, if any, will always be temporary. Your most promising habits will tragically collapse under the slightest pressure, because the one foundational element that holds it all together, the central pillar of your existence, is your unwavering why, your decisive choice, your profound purpose. Therefore, write it down. One sentence, not 10, just one. What is it you must build before your time here is done? Who must you unequivocally become? What profound contribution must you give to the world? What is the singular result that your very life demands? Not because it's easy, but because you've decided it matters more than anything else. That, my friends, is your purpose. And once you have it, this sacred declaration, you must read it aloud every single morning. You must write it by hand, with deliberate intention, every single night. You don't wait for inspiration to miraculously strike. No, you relentlessly rehearse it until it utterly replaces every other conflicting thought in your mind. This, my friends, is the unshakable foundation of all true confidence. To awaken each day and simply know where you are unequivocally heading, you cease to compare yourself to others. You don't idly scroll through distractions. You don't flinch in the face of challenges, because your every step is already assigned, meticulously aligned with your definite purpose. Everything you do, from the nourishment you consume, to the profound books you read, to the consistent habits you meticulously install, to the very words you speak, to the calculated risks you courageously take, it all bends, inevitably, toward that one singular thing, your definite purpose. And that, my friends, grants you a profound spiritual immunity against the insidious grip of distraction. You no longer harbor envy for other men's paths, because you are irrevocably locked into your own. You no longer fear the sting of failure, because you intimately know it is an integral, essential part of the grand construction process. You no longer crave external approval, because your purpose, by its very nature, grants you an inherent authority. And from that elevated place, every decision becomes remarkably easy. Clarity becomes your unwavering compass. Time itself bends in your favor, because the universe, your powerful mind, and every single atom of your being begin to conspire, in perfect harmony, around one singular objective, the triumphant completion of your mission. But without that profound purpose, let me be clear, even the most meticulously cultivated habits will drift. Even the strongest man will stumble and fall. Even the most brilliant mind will find itself chasing fleeting, inconsequential things that truly don't matter. So, write that sacred sentence, etch it with fire into the very core of your soul, and understand this is not for some vague someday. This is not for when life finally calms down. This is the definitive day you cease living like a leaf tossed aimlessly in the wind and begin moving with unwavering purpose, like a master builder with profound orders emanating from within. Say it now with commanding conviction. I know my purpose, and I follow it without apology. I no longer wait for clarity. I generate it. My energy is sacred, and my direction is locked in. This, my friends, is precisely how empires are forged, not with mere noise, but with one singular decision, burned so deeply into the spirit of a man that even time itself bows in his profound direction. And if you haven't made that decision yet, make it now, for the clock is still relentlessly running, but your focus, my friends, has not been activated, and you have monumental work to do. You have profound power to build, and none of it, I assure you, will ever materialize without purpose. Faith is not something you passively wait for. It is not some ethereal gift that mysteriously descends from the heavens. It is not the fleeting result of hope or circumstance. No, faith, my friends, is something you meticulously build. It is rigorously constructed, brick by painstaking brick, act by deliberate act, thought by focused thought, until you stand unshakable in the very center of something so profoundly strong, so undeniably stable, that even your deepest doubts must, by their very nature, bow before it. Let me unveil a profound truth, a truth most men will never fully grasp. Faith is not emotion, it is repetition. It is the unwavering byproduct of consistent, disciplined belief, spoken aloud, meticulously written down, and decisively acted upon until your subconscious accepts it as undeniable fact. You don't find faith, you forge it, you train it, you rehearse it until it no longer requires external evidence, because it, in its very essence, becomes the evidence. And here, my friends, is the absolute key. The mind doesn't believe what is inherently true. It believes with unwavering conviction what is consistently repeated. That, precisely, is why so many individuals tragically believe in failure, because they've, through relentless internal rehearsal, constantly spoken doubt into their existence, imagined disaster scenarios over and over again, and meticulously aligned their actions with fear, only to then wonder why faith has not miraculously arrived. Let me be unequivocally clear. You cannot continuously rehearse weakness and then, with any logical expectation, anticipate strength to magically appear. You cannot marinate in the insidious grip of hesitation and then, with any genuine hope, expect certainty to spontaneously grow. Faith, like a formidable muscle, is undeniably earned through resistance. It is meticulously built by deliberately applying pressure to your ingrained comfort zones, and every single time you follow through on a commitment, especially when it feels impossibly difficult, you earn more of it. That, my friends, is precisely why autosuggestion is not a mere game. It is the profound gateway to your transformation. It is the deliberate act of meticulously feeding your mind the precise identity you have consciously chosen, not the one you were arbitrarily given, not the one society has labeled you with, but the magnificent identity you have with profound intention designed. That, precisely, is why I don't tell you to casually watch a video and passively hope it will magically transform you. I tell you to repeat it, to study it, to speak it back, because when you do that, when you make those profound words reverberate louder than the insidious whispers of doubt, something truly extraordinary begins to happen. You begin profoundly to believe yourself. That, my friends, is the fundamental root of all personal power, to intimately know that when you speak, your subconscious mind listens and obeys. So, you must begin each day with a commanding intention, not with the paralyzing grip of confusion. You awaken and speak the very script of the man you are unequivocally becoming, not merely because it sounds inspiring, but because you intimately know it is meticulously writing new grooves in the very fabric of your mind. And those newly forged grooves, I assure you, will inevitably become the precise path your feet will walk. Thomas Edison didn't succeed because he felt perpetually inspired. He succeeded because his unwavering faith in the ultimate outcome was demonstrably greater than any single failure he encountered. 10,000 times he tried. 10,000 times he found a method that didn't work, but he never once labeled them failures because his faith was unshakably anchored. He had already, in his mind's eye, perceived the light bulb long before the world did, and every single act of effort, every moment of physical and mental fatigue, every instance he reset his tools and began anew, was another profound layer of belief meticulously built. Rockefeller didn't ascend to unprecedented heights of wealth by mere luck. No, he rigorously trained his thinking like a man preparing for profound warfare. He harbored an unshakable belief in systems, in structure, in absolute certainty, and that profound certainty originated not from external chaos, but from relentless mental rehearsal. He meticulously constructed wealth in his mind before he ever manifested it in the tangible world. You, my friends, must embrace this same discipline. You must vividly see yourself follow through on your commitments. You must profoundly imagine yourself moving with unshakable power. You must speak to yourself as a seasoned general delivers commands to a loyal, unwavering army, with profound calm, with crystalline clarity, with absolute conviction. For your subconscious mind, I assure you, is constantly listening. It is always, always listening. And every word you whisper, every phrase you repeat, is either meticulously building faith or insidiously breaking it. So, I ask you, are you currently speaking power or poison into your existence? Are you consciously reinforcing courage or unknowingly conditioning cowardice? Are you deliberately using your words to elevate yourself or to diminish your potential? Because what you consistently repeat becomes your undeniable reality. Faith is not loud or flashy. It doesn't beg for external attention. Faith is silent, grounded, and steadfast. It is meticulously built in the profound darkness of solitude. It is forged when you choose to show up, relentlessly, despite your fleeting emotion. It is constructed when you unequivocally declare, I will, and then, with unwavering resolve, follow through without the slightest expectation of applause. It is built when no one is observing, and you, nonetheless, continue to move forward. That, precisely, is how Abraham Lincoln led a nation through the crucible of fire. He wasn't the most popular figure, he wasn't the loudest voice, but he believed in his profound vision so deeply, so completely, that no critic, no adversary, could ever shake it loose from his unwavering grasp. And when faith becomes utterly unshakable, action becomes automatic. You no longer try to rise, you simply do. You no longer question if you are ready, you move, because you are. And your results, I assure you, begin to multiply, not by mere chance, but by deliberate design. So, here is your unequivocal instruction. Write your chief aim. Read it aloud every morning and every night, and do so with profound emotion, with absolute certainty, with unyielding fire. Visualize the triumphant outcome, and not once, not twice, but daily. Speak your identity, not as a fleeting wish, but as an unshakable fact. I am focused, I am disciplined, I act with purpose, I do not flinch. This is not mere theory, this is rigorous practice. And when you practice it long enough, the man you used to be, the man of doubt, of fear, of hesitation, he will inevitably fade into dust, and the man of unwavering faith will rise. Not someday, but today. There comes a pivotal moment in every man's life when he must make a decision so utterly final, so absolutely absolute, that no path remains for retreat. That moment, my friends, is not about fleeting emotion. It's not about confidence. It's about unshakable commitment. To burn the bridge means precisely this. You meticulously remove all exits, all fallback plans, all quiet, insidious excuses that whisper, if this doesn't work, I can always go back. No, you can't. Not anymore, because that former man is gone. Let me unveil a profound truth that every titan of history has intimately known. You don't truly transform until you remove the option of staying the same. You cannot build a magnificent new life while desperately clinging to the comfort of your old one. You cannot ascend to become someone new and simultaneously hold space for the person you used to be. You cannot possibly win a game with your eyes perpetually fixed halfway on the rearview mirror. Charles M. Schwab didn't become the revered president of Carnegie Steel by playing it safe. He wasn't necessarily the smartest man in the room. He was, unequivocally, the most decided. He carried himself, long before the world explicitly recognized it, with the unmistakable bearing of a leader. He meticulously aligned his speech, his tone, his entire energy with his desired position, and in doing so, he decisively closed the door to mediocrity. When he walked into a room, the very atmosphere of the room felt his commanding presence. Do you truly desire that kind of profound presence? Then you must decide, so fully, so powerfully, that your past self is stunned into utter silence. This is the profound meaning of burning the bridge. It's not merely symbolic, it's strategically essential. When you deliberately remove the option to quit, when you make it so there's no going back, you activate a part of your mind that most men never touch. It's the part that simply must win, because it has no other choice. Andrew Carnegie demanded this very quality from his men. He sought not merely those who were interested in success, but men consumed by one singular obsession, men who had utterly burned the bridge to every other pursuit. He intimately understood this undeniable truth. A divided mind is, by its very nature, a defeated mind, and so must you. You cannot serve two identities simultaneously, the man you've been and the man you are unequivocally becoming. One of them has to die. That means you must ruthlessly eliminate everything that gives the old you oxygen. Every distraction, every excuse, every person who subtly or overtly keeps you playing small. You declare you wish to ascend. Good. Then the time has come to remove the very staircase that leads back down. You proclaim you want to become unrecognizable. Then stop clutching onto souvenirs from your past self. This means you must delete the contacts that drain your precious focus. You must clear your physical space of anything that reinforces old, limiting habits. You must stop visiting the mental corners where doubt still insidiously resides. You must utterly destroy the comfort zones you habitually retreated to, because comfort, my friends, is a profound liar. It whispers that you're fine where you are, but greatness, I assure you, never dwells there. Greatness begins the precise moment you decisively close the back door and stride forward with unyielding fire. That is precisely what Henry Ford did when he wagered everything on the Revolutionary Assembly line. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't waste precious time attempting to convince the skeptics. He simply decided, and in that singular, powerful decision, he utterly removed failure as a viable option. People may have laughed at him. He did, because a man who has definitively burned the bridge has no time, no energy, to entertain doubt. He is far too busy, relentlessly, executing now. Listen to me with profound attentiveness. You will be tempted, more than once, to cast a longing glance backward. You will recall how effortless it felt to succumb to laziness, to mindlessly scroll, to sleep in, to exist without pressure. And that insidious voice will sound entirely reasonable. It will offer you the alluring illusion of balance. It will whisper, it's perfectly okay, just this one. That voice, my friends, is the final, lingering ghost of your old identity. Kill it. Don't entertain it. Don't respond to it. Don't attempt to explain yourself to it. Instead, replace it. Every single time it whispers, you speak louder. I said 90, not 9. I act from decision, not from fleeting feeling. I move because I unequivocally chose this path, not because it's easy, but because it's mine. Do you comprehend the profound power of that? It irrevocably hardens your will. It meticulously trains your subconscious mind to accept that your word is absolute law, that your actions are not mere suggestions, but undeniable commands. This precisely is where your undeniable edge is forged, because now, you no longer need emotion to propel you forward. You no longer depend on external motivation. You move, inexorably, because the bridge is gone. You move because the man you used to be has no shelter left. You move because the only possible direction is forward. Thomas Edison didn't hope for a breakthrough. He decided there would be one. And he worked like a man with no conceivable alternative. 10,000 failures. And not once did he contemplate retreating. Why? Because he had no bridge to return to. You, my friends, must adopt this very same mindset. Burn the plan B. Eliminate the insidious what if. Live as if this is your singular, precious shot. Because, in truth, it is. The clock doesn't pause. The world doesn't wait. And neither, my friends, should you. You have danced with discipline long enough. You have flirted with greatness long enough. Now is the sacred time to fully, finally, without the slightest hesitation, marry the mission. Because once the bridge is gone, and the fire of your ambition rises behind you, there is no turning back, only forward, only execution, only evolution. Let this be your point of no return. Let this be the day everything irrevocably changed. Let this be today. No man, my friends, ever rises alone. No man becomes truly powerful by remaining in isolation, while personal discipline is meticulously forged in solitude. True acceleration, I assure you, is born in alignment. There exists a force more potent than mere willpower, more powerful than raw skill or boundless ambition. It is the undeniable power of the mastermind, and it begins with this fundamental truth. You become precisely like the minds with whom you consistently align yourself. Your thoughts are inextricably shaped by your inner circle. Your energy is profoundly influenced by your immediate environment. Your very identity is meticulously forged in the company you choose to keep. You may, at this very moment, mistakenly believe you are strong enough to carry the weight of your grand mission alone. But I implore you, look around. Truly look. Who do you consistently share your precious time with? Who do you allow to profoundly shape your vision? To whom do you speak most frequently? Because those very voices, my friends, are either meticulously building you up or insidiously breaking you down. The mastermind is not merely a random gathering of individuals. It is a profound mental alliance, a powerful convergence of aligned minds, moving with a shared, singular intention, to elevate, not to distract, to build, not to merely entertain, to sharpen, not to soften. You must actively seek this, or you must meticulously build it yourself. This means you must seek out individuals who speak with crystalline clarity, who move with unshakable purpose, who profoundly understand the power of silence, who do not require constant reminders of the mission because they live it. When you purposefully connect your mind to others moving with the same unyielding fire, something truly miraculous begins to happen. You become faster, stronger, more focused. You exponentially multiply your energy. You compress timelines. You begin to unlock ideas you never, in isolation, would have conceived, because the mastermind, by its very nature, brings unparalleled perspective. This is not mere theory. This is the very same strategic approach employed by history's greatest builders. He meticulously surrounded himself with thinkers, engineers, and men of unshakable belief. They didn't always agree on every detail, but they were unequivocally aligned in their overarching purpose, They pushed each other. They challenged each other into higher, more profound forms of execution. Thomas Edison, the prolific inventor, cultivated a formidable mental network of collaboration, not of distracting noise. Ideas flowed effortlessly between these aligned minds, each thought sharpened through shared obsession. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest and most influential minds ever to grace this planet, unequivocally attributed his immense fortune, not to luck or initial capital, but to the profound power of the mastermind, to having one singular goal, meticulously reinforced by many minds, united in unwavering purpose. Charles M. Schwab, too, ascended because he diligently sought alignment with the highest vision, and he meticulously made it his daily environment. The mastermind, my friends, doesn't simply materialize by chance. It is carefully, deliberately created. But let us be unequivocally clear. Not everyone in your current circle qualifies for this sacred alliance. A true mastermind does not include individuals who speak with debilitating doubt, people who engage in idle gossip, those who perpetually chase fleeting comfort, individuals who mock discipline, people who endlessly wait for external permission to move forward. You must, with uncompromising resolve, immediately remove them from your mental atmosphere, because a single weak mind in your immediate circle has the power to dilute the very fire you are painstakingly building. Protecting your energy is not arrogance, it is a profound strategy. If a man doesn't nourish your vision, he insidiously bleeds it. If he doesn't mirror your commitment, he distracts you from it. If he cannot perceive the magnificent future you are meticulously building, he has no place in its foundational structure. Let me give you a profound rule. If you wouldn't willingly trade places with their life, don't, under any circumstances, take advice from their voice. You are not, my friends, obligated to carry the cumbersome weight of others' confusion. You are here to construct something profoundly different, something sharper, clearer, higher. So, what do? You form your mastermind by choice. Start with one aligned mind, one voice that sharpens your intellect, one individual who speaks clarity over chaos. Then, meticulously add another, and another, until your circle transforms into a powerful system, a formidable structure, a support so tight, so unequivocally aligned, that failure becomes an exceedingly difficult, almost impossible, outcome. Meet weekly, with unwavering purpose. Share your goals. Hold each other to higher, more demanding standards. Ruthlessly eliminate soft language. Maybe, someday, I'll try. Replace it with powerful declarations, with unyielding accountability, with unadulterated fire. And if you cannot, at this very moment, find this circle, then be it. Be the standard. Speak with authority. Move with conviction. Others will profoundly feel it, and they will either rise to meet you, or gracefully fall away. Do not chase fleeting approval. Do not attempt to convert those who are irrevocably committed to aimless drifting. Just build. Just move. Just live aligned with your highest vision, and those who are truly meant to walk with you will inevitably appear. This is not about community for the sake of mere comfort. It is about alignment for the sake of profound power. Because when a mind as sharp as yours converges with another of equal fire, the very laws of success begin to bend in your favor. The path becomes clearer. The results arrive faster. The debilitating noise becomes quieter. This is the hidden power of the mastermind, the power to exponentially multiply your mission. So, make your decision now. Who do I urgently need to align with? Who do I courageously need to release from my life? And who do I unequivocally need to become to attract the very minds I desire to surround myself with? Then, begin. One aligned conversation has the power to utterly change your life, and one weak one, I assure you, can stealthily steal it. Choose wisely. Before the action, before the money, before the momentum, there must be belief, because no man, my friends, ever accomplished anything of true greatness without first meticulously seeing it, vividly, in his own mind. You must believe, profoundly, long before the world grants you permission, long before the world applauds, long before any external evidence even begins to manifest. That, precisely, is the true test. Can you act as if it's already a tangible reality, even while it remains utterly invisible to others? This is what fundamentally separates the select few who rise from the multitude, who sadly quit. Understand this profound truth. Faith is not a luxury. It is not an optional mindset reserved only for the inherently optimistic. Faith is an absolute requirement. It is the foundational beginning of all true transformation. You may mistakenly believe you need absolute clarity to begin. You don't. You may think you require abundant resources, boundless motivation, or constant support. You don't. What you truly need, my friends, is a decisive choice, unequivocally backed by unwavering belief, the kind of belief that resonates deep within your chest, that propels your feet forward, that speaks louder than any doubt, even when your voice might, initially, tremble. Abraham Lincoln didn't possess an infallible knowledge of how the Civil War would ultimately conclude. He didn't operate with absolute certainty in his every strategic maneuver, but he possessed an unyielding faith in fundamental principle, a profound faith that freedom must, inevitably, triumph, even if the road to victory demanded everything. Henry Ford had no definitive map, no established market, no widespread approval, but he believed so profoundly in his vision that the entire world eventually bent to his unshakable certainty. Rockefeller meticulously constructed empires long before the physical infrastructure even existed. Why? Because in his mind, it was already done. Edison, Carnegie, Schwab, none of them passively waited for external evidence before they embraced belief. They actively created the evidence by acting, decisively, in advance of it. That, my friends, is what faith does. It precedes the results. But fear, my friends, fear, does the profound opposite. Fear whispers, "I'll wait until I see proof." Faith, by contrast, declares, "I'll move, and then, by my actions, make the proof appear." Which voice will you obey? Fear waits. Fear scrolls through distractions. Fear meticulously calculates every conceivable risk and tragically forgets every potential reward. Faith builds. Faith acts. Faith believes, and moves forward anyway. And if you mistakenly believe this is merely positive thinking, you fundamentally misunderstand the immutable laws that govern your powerful mind. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what is objectively true. No, it responds, with absolute obedience, to what is consistently repeated, what is profoundly felt, what is believed. If you relentlessly repeat fear, your life will inevitably become a debilitating pattern of protection. If you consistently repeat belief, your life will unequivocally become a magnificent pattern of creation. That, precisely, is why auto-suggestion is so vitally important. Why you don't simply hear these words, but you speak them, you feel them, you emotionalize them into the very core of your subconscious until they become your identity. You don't just declare, "I believe." No, you declare, with unwavering conviction, "I act with faith. I don't wait to feel ready. I know who I am unequivocally becoming, and I move accordingly." This, my friends, is how belief is meticulously installed. Every single day, you speak the vision into existence. Every single day, you move as if it's already accomplished. Every single day, you steadfastly refuse to allow fear to direct your decisions. That's the part most men tragically miss. They mistakenly think belief is just mindset. But belief, my friends, is also motion. If you truly desire to believe, then act like you believe, because action, in its very essence, reinforces belief. Each time you follow through on a commitment without immediate external evidence, each time you show up relentlessly when it feels arduous, each time you steadfastly keep your word in private, you meticulously construct a new identity within yourself, an identity that unequivocally declares, "I don't need proof. I am the proof. Let me give you an immutable law. belief precedes performance. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself within your mind. So the question isn't, can I do it? The question is, what am I relentlessly rehearsing? What am I, in profound silence, telling myself daily? What identity am I speaking into undeniable existence or tragically avoiding out of fear? Because the world, my friends, doesn't respond to mere potential. It responds to unwavering certainty. Certainty in your voice, certainty in your movement, certainty in your very presence. You can't fake that. It must be forged. And you forge it through daily rehearsal, through relentless repetition of belief in the profound absence of immediate proof. Every single morning, speak your vision. Every single evening, reflect on your actions. Every single hour, steadfastly refuse to betray the man you have declared you are becoming. And watch what happens. The fear doesn't vanish, but your faith will become louder. The doubt doesn't disappear, but your decisive choices will override it, until, eventually, your belief becomes utterly undeniable. And so, my friends, will you. This is not mysticism. This is not fantasy. This is the unvarnished reality of how every empire begins, with an invisible vision, believed in so deeply, repeated so often, and acted on so boldly that the world has no choice but to perceive it too. So, choose your belief now. Choose what you will relentlessly repeat, because you are always programming your mind. The only question is, with what? Let your unwavering faith become your unshakable foundation, and let your daily actions serve as undeniable proof of its power. If there is one solitary trait that profoundly separates the builders of history from the men who tragically remain perpetually in hesitation throughout their entire lives, it is decisiveness, the unwavering ability to choose, and then, irrevocably, never to retreat. You don't, my friends, passively drift your way into profound greatness. You decide your way there. One singular decision, meticulously repeated without apology, becomes the unassailable dividing line between those who ultimately forge history and those who merely observe its unfolding. Let this truth be profoundly understood. Indecision is the insidious breeding ground of fear, and the longer you procrastinate in making a definitive choice, the louder the insidious whispers of doubt will become. A man who delays, my friends, ultimately decays. Every single time you hesitate on your next crucial step, you unwittingly create space for debilitating second-guessing, for the intrusion of outside opinions, for fear cunningly disguised as logical reasoning, and slowly, imperceptibly, your vital energy leaks away, your precious clarity fades, your unshakable conviction crumbles. This, precisely, is why a man must rigorously train himself to decide swiftly, and then, with profound discipline, change his mind slowly, if at all. That, my friends, is the very habit of the elite. Henry Ford was not a man who asked permission. He didn't poll the crowd when he made a momentous decision. His choices were final, forged in the crucible of his own unwavering conviction. Even when his very own engineers declared that an 8-cylinder engine cast in one single block was an impossible feat, he simply commanded them, build it anyway. And they did, because his decision was demonstrably stronger than their collective doubt. Charles Schwab, within the colossal steel empire of Carnegie, ascended not merely because of his competence, but because of his unparalleled decisiveness. He didn't hesitate. He didn't dance evasively around responsibility. He moved. He intimately understood the profound pressure of command, and he consistently made the hard, necessary calls. This is what most individuals tragically miss. They mistakenly think successful men are inherently the smartest or the most connected. No, they are, above all else, the most decided. They stride into each new day already knowing, unequivocally, who they are. They don't need the fleeting sensation of feeling ready. They are ready because they have, with profound intention, declared it to be so. Look at Andrew Carnegie. He didn't build his vast empire through endless, exhaustive research. He built it through direction, one singular goal, one definitive mission, one profound purpose, chosen with absolute finality. And from that one unshakable decision, everything else was meticulously shaped. Your life, my friends, operates in precisely the same manner. Until you definitively decide who you are, the world will continue to arbitrarily assign roles for you. It will hand you scripts. It will offer countless distractions. It will tempt you to remain comfortably average. But when you decide, truly, profoundly decide, the world, I assure you, has no choice but to meticulously rearrange itself around that unwavering choice. Here is the immutable law. Decision creates identity. Indecision, conversely, merely preserves the old self. So, if you find yourself continually drifting back into old, limiting habits, it's not because you are inherently weak. It's because you haven't, with absolute conviction, decided to leave them permanently behind. What's even more insidious, indecision breeds more indecision. It compounds, and soon your life becomes a suffocating loop of almost starts and tragically nearly finished goals. But when you choose, when you courageously burn the bridge, when you utterly eliminate the insidious backup plan, you create an energy that cannot be faked. That energy, my friends, the entire world responds to. Your very mind aligns to it. Your unwavering standards are born from it. Let me give you a clear, actionable instruction. Make one powerful decision today, and then, with absolute resolve, refuse to ever revisit it. If it concerns your fitness, decide. If it concerns your business, decide. If it concerns who you're becoming, decide now. And when the insidious voice of doubt creeps in, when the temptation to adjust, or to wait, or to simply feel it out subtly appears, you don't listen, because the decision is already, irrevocably, made. Thomas Edison didn't ask the light bulb for permission. He didn't wait until he had all the answers. He decided, and he pursued over 10,000 attempts, not trials, but decisions. You need that very same resolve, because each decision, powerfully backed by definiteness of purpose, meticulously builds your internal spine. And once your spine is built, the storms of life lose their power. They cannot move a man who has already decided. Even Abraham Lincoln, who faced the weight of a nation in civil war, wasn't paralyzed by indecision. He was methodical, but he was final. His Emancipation Proclamation wasn't born of public applause. It was born of profound personal resolve. That kind of unwavering decision, my friends, irrevocably shapes the future. So, ask yourself now, what decision have you been avoiding? What goal have you kept open so you don't have to commit? What mission have you left negotiable? Draw the line today. Say it out loud, if you have to. I no longer delay. I no longer drift. I no longer entertain versions of me that hesitate. You say it, you write it, you live it. And from that one decision, all other actions will inevitably flow. Because the truth is this, most men aren't waiting on opportunity. They are waiting on permission to decide. But I tell you now, with absolute certainty, no one is coming to give it. The greats didn't wait. They chose. So choose with spine, with fire, with finality. And from that moment forward, you become unshakable. There is a secret deeply embedded in the very foundation of every colossal fortune. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's not charm. It is the unwavering habit of consistently doing more than one is paid to do. This immutable law, the law of compensation, governs advancement with the same unerring precision that gravity governs motion. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't miss. It simply returns to each individual the precise value he contributes, multiplied exponentially over time. And here, my friends, is the unvarnished truth that most individuals will never fully grasp. You are not paid for your time. You are paid for your value. And value, I assure you, is determined by one singular thing: how far you are unequivocally willing to go beyond what is merely expected. The average individual performs, consistently, at the minimum level commensurate with his paycheck. But the exceptional man, he performs, always, at the absolute zenith of his boundless potential. He doesn't wait to be rewarded. He becomes so incredibly effective, so remarkably consistent, so profoundly valuable that reward becomes not a possibility, but an absolute inevitability. This is the law, and it cannot be faked. Charles Schwab rose from humble beginnings, not because he had a better education, but because he had a better attitude toward his work. He rendered himself indispensable by making himself irreplaceable. He gave his entire mind. He gave his boundless energy. He consistently gave more than he was paid for. And because of that unwavering commitment, Andrew Carnegie eventually compensated him more handsomely than any other steelman in history. Carnegie himself practiced this profound principle with almost spiritual devotion. In the early stages of his career, he worked longer hours, embraced greater challenges, and proactively volunteered for responsibilities that extended far beyond his official title. He did so not for recognition, but for growth, and that growth, I assure you, meticulously positioned him for unprecedented opportunity. This, my friends, is precisely how the climb to greatness begins. You don't get promoted by asking. You get promoted by becoming too valuable to ignore. Understand this profound truth. The marketplace pays for impact, not intention. It doesn't matter how long you meant to. It doesn't care how busy you were. It only measures results, and those results are multiplied for the man who consistently goes above and beyond. That's where you must live, in the extra mile, the unpaid hour, the unseen effort, the quiet improvement. Because here, my friends, is the secret no one talks about. The extra mile is the emptiest one, and that's why it's where all the power lives. Everyone wants to get ahead, yet tragically few are willing to give more than they're asked. Few wake up early without being told. Few deliver excellence when average is accepted. Few take ownership of mistakes that weren't even theirs. But the few who do, they, inevitably, rise. Thomas Edison didn't stop when the world said enough. He worked relentlessly, not to clock hours, but to produce value. Over 1,000 patents, invention after invention. Why? Because he focused not on reward, but on output, and reward followed. And this is why you must detach from immediate return. If you only act when rewarded, you will forever be enslaved by permission. But if you act from principle, from the law itself, you become independent of circumstances. You act not for applause, but because you are the kind of man who consistently does more than what is required. And over time, I assure you, the world will, inevitably, catch up to your profound Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He revolutionized the process. He built something better, faster, more accessible. He didn't stop at good enough. He pushed boundaries. He over-delivered. And because of that, the market, inevitably, followed him. Success isn't reserved for the lucky. It is earned by the man who outserves, out-improves, and outlasts his competition. That is what you must install, not just in business, but in your home, in your discipline, in your mission. When you do more than expected, you become more than expected. You grow. You gain profound self-respect. You earn invaluable influence. And most importantly, you rise above the competition without needing to destroy anyone else. So, here is your unshakable challenge. Where, in this very day, can you decisively over-deliver? What extra detail can you meticulously improve? What skill can you diligently sharpen without being explicitly asked? What task can you complete with unwavering excellence, better than anyone could possibly And once you have your answer, you do it. Not once, but daily, relentlessly, until excellence becomes your ingrained habit, and your name becomes inextricably associated with certainty. Because that, my friends, is the highest currency, the certainty of execution. The man who consistently delivers, even when no one's watching, inevitably becomes the man who is always, always called upon when it truly matters. So, if you profoundly desire to advance, if you yearn to rise, if you aspire to construct a reputation that compels opportunity to actively pursue you, rather than the other way around, then cease asking for more, and with profound intention, giving more, quietly, relentlessly, with no need for immediate credit, because credit will inevitably come, compensation will inevitably come, recognition will inevitably come, but only if you diligently build yourself into the kind of man who, at his core, doesn't need it. Say this aloud, with unshakable conviction. I do more than what I'm paid to do. I am not average. I move with excellence, even when no one is watching. And if you consistently repeat that, and you courageously live that, you will never, ever, lack opportunity again, because the law is simple. He who gives more, becomes more, and he who becomes more, will always, inevitably, have more. You may possess immense strength. You may be blessed with profound intelligence. You may even hold the most brilliant plan in the entire world. But if your very presence repels others, if your inherent energy repels trust, if your manner of speech inadvertently pushes people away instead of magnetically drawing them near, then your boundless power will never, ever, reach its full, magnificent expression. Because the truth, my friends, is this: no man truly rises alone, and the individual who possesses the profound understanding of how to influence others with warmth, with unshakable confidence, and with crystalline clarity, will always move faster and farther than the man who attempts to force every outcome by sheer brute strength. This, my friends, is what we refer to as a pleasing personality. Not manipulation, not superficial charm, but a meticulously cultivated energy, one that magnetizes others without ever resorting to begging for attention. It is the invisible, yet profoundly powerful, factor behind the most successful men in all of history. The intrinsic quality that effortlessly opens doors, that earns unwavering loyalty, that exponentially multiplies influence. Let me tell you plainly, a pleasing personality is not a gift. It is a profound discipline. It is a direct product of rigorous self-awareness, meticulous emotional control, and consistent, intentional practice. Andrew Carnegie constructed one of the most colossal fortunes in human history, not because he was consistently the loudest voice in every room, but because he intimately understood how to make others feel profoundly seen and valued. He listened far more than he praised far more than he criticized. He mastered the intricate art of influence, not through domineering force, but through the sheer power of his compelling presence. And that presence, I assure you, compelled others to actively desire to work with him. It powerfully drew influence and power toward him. Charles M. Schwab was renowned for this very quality. Though not a technical genius, he became the president of U.S. Steel, precisely because of how he made people feel. He smiled often. He meticulously remembered names. He made others feel intrinsically important, and through that profound influence, he consistently elicited the very best from his team, without ever needing to raise his voice. Because power, my friends, is not merely brute force. Power is the profound ability to move others willingly, to inspire their cooperation. You must understand this fundamental truth. A pleasing personality isn't about being fake or inauthentic. It's not about being soft or subservient. It's about meticulously refining yourself into someone whose very presence unequivocally communicates this profound message. This man is worth trusting. This man is worth following. And that doesn't necessitate becoming a mere performer. It means diligently mastering these quiet, yet immensely powerful, disciplines. Your tone of voice. Speak with conviction, not with hesitant uncertainty. Your facial expression, a calm, confident presence, speaks volumes before you utter a single word. Genuine interest. People remember how you made them feel. Ask real questions. Listen deeply. Optimism. A pleasing personality doesn't dwell in debilitating negativity. It uplifts. It radiates profound certainty. The world, my friends, is overflowing with loud, bitter, argumentative individuals, desperately attempting to prove themselves. But the man with a truly pleasing personality, he doesn't argue. He doesn't shout. He doesn't over-explain. He influences. He persuades. He meticulously builds bridges where others, tragically, burn them. Thomas Edison collaborated with teams of brilliant minds, and though he was intensely driven,
He intimately understood the immense value of collaboration, of meticulously creating a magnetic environment that compelled others to actively desire to contribute their genius. His laboratories weren't just centers of invention. They were environments profoundly charged with positive expectancy. That, precisely, is what a pleasing personality creates: movement without resistance. Now, let's make it profoundly practical. If you want to be truly powerful, you must become likable, not because you seek superficial approval, but because you intimately understand this immutable law. People move faster, with greater enthusiasm, for individuals they genuinely admire. When you speak with profound respect, others, in turn, reciprocate that respect. When you walk with presence, others feel it before you speak. When you remove the need to prove, you gain the ability to persuade, and persuasion moves mountains. Ask yourself, do people feel stronger after speaking with me? Do I make others feel valued? Not by flattery, but by attention. Do I carry myself with calm authority or chaotic energy? Because here's the bottom line: the most powerful man in the room isn't the one who talks the most, but the one others listen to when he finally speaks. Abraham Lincoln is remembered as one of the greatest presidents not because he dominated others, but because he combined firmness with humility. He communicated with simplicity, with clarity, with presence. Even in the darkest times, he radiated a pleasing personality that gave the people confidence.
Henry Ford, for all his brilliance, knew the importance of harmony. He didn't surround himself with yes men, but he valued those who could communicate ideas with calm strength and direction. He wasn't polished in speech, but he was consistent in presence, and consistency creates trust. That's the essence of a pleasing personality. You don't chase attention, you command it through character. So here's your challenge. Speak less, and when you do, speak with intention. Smile more, not as a mask, but as a message. I am in command of my energy. Move slowly, speak clearly, make others feel seen, heard, and understood. And most of all, live your life in such a way that your presence makes others want to be better, because that's the highest form of influence. The man who uplifts everyone around him without effort, simply by being who he is. Repeat this daily. My presence is calm, powerful, and persuasive. I make others feel seen, heard, and understood. I do not argue. I influence. And over time, that energy becomes magnetic. The world starts leaning toward you, not because you shouted, but because you built yourself into a man worth following. There is a law, one so powerful, so consistent, that those who live by it are destined to rise, and those who violate it are sentenced to mediocrity. It's not written in stone. It's not taught in schools. It's rarely mentioned in conversations about success. And yet, every successful man I've ever known obeyed this law like it was scripture. It is the law of increasing returns. The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does. Let that echo, because it is not a motivational phrase. It is an economic truth, a spiritual truth, a universal truth. The average man says, I'll give more when I get more. But the builder, the man who commands his life, says, I'll give more now and let the rewards find me later. And they always do. Look at Andrew Carnegie. He began as a poor boy in a telegraph office. He wasn't asked to learn how to read and write Morse code fluently. He wasn't required to memorize railroads, but he did. He went beyond the role, beyond the instruction, beyond the bare minimum. And what happened? The people in power noticed, not instantly, but inevitably. And from that small post, he rose to become one of the richest men in the world. How? He gave value first, without asking, without keeping score, without demand. The man who goes the extra mile makes himself irreplaceable, because while others perform the duty, he delivers the result. While others ask, what am I owed? He asks, what else can I give? You must understand, Life doesn't pay you based on the clock. It pays you based on value. Your time means nothing if it produces little, but your effort, your initiative, your refusal to cut corners or wait for reward, that makes you unstoppable. Thomas Edison knew this well. His work ethic was legendary. Thousands of failed experiments, sleepless nights, years of obsessive experimentation. He didn't demand guarantees. He gave everything first, and only after results were produced, the world handed him its rewards. Now let me ask you, are you doing the minimum? Are you only rising when someone's watching? Are you only moving when it's convenient? Because the universe keeps score, not of your hours, but of your initiative. The world might not reward you immediately, but it will eventually, and far beyond what you expect, if you make this a habit. Start where you are. If you work a job, stop asking what your role is. Start asking what your standard is. If you're building a business, stop asking what clients will pay for. Start asking what would blow them away. If you're building a skill, don't just check the box. Stay longer, push deeper, stretch further. Because every time you exceed the expectation, every time you cross the invisible line of enough and keep going, you separate yourself from the pack. You become unforgettable. You become trusted. You become indispensable. Let me remind you, Charles M. Schwab wasn't promoted for doing his job. He was promoted because he multiplied value. He encouraged others. He pushed. He asked what else could be done. He went above, not for attention, but because it was who he was. That's what you must become. The man who gives more than is asked, more than is expected, more than is required. And the key, do it when no one sees it. Do it when no one claps. Do it until it's your identity, because that identity becomes a magnet for opportunity. Henry Ford built an empire not just because of what he knew, but because he demanded more from himself and from others. Faster production, smarter engineering, better value for the customer. He always asked, how can we give more? And as a result, he received more than any man in his field. But remember, it started small. Every great leap begins with invisible effort. So begin today. Ask yourself, where am I meeting the minimum? Where can I exceed the standard? Where can I act not like an employee, not like a worker, but like an owner? And once you find that answer, live it. You'll feel resistance. Others will mock you. They'll say you're working too hard, caring too much, doing too much for nothing. But the rewards of going the extra mile are never immediate. They are delayed but multiplied. They come in the form of respect, of trust, of opportunity, of leadership, and eventually of wealth. Say this daily. I don't ask what I'm owed. I ask what I can give. I exceed expectations as a way of life. I am the man who goes the extra mile because that's where greatness begins. And let those words take root, because the man who lives by them, he never stays at the bottom for long. Let me tell you something you already know, but may not have accepted. Watching this once is not enough. You cannot rewire your entire system in a single sitting. You cannot kill a decade of fear with one round of motivation. You cannot erase the old programming with inspiration alone, because your subconscious mind doesn't respond to one-time information. It responds to repetition. To imprint a new belief, you must burn it in again and again until it becomes more familiar than your doubts. So let this truth echo through your mind. Repetition is the language of the subconscious, and the strongest loop always wins. If your old loop is I'm not good enough, it will dominate until a stronger one replaces it. If the dominant signal in your life is hesitation, that will become your identity. But if you feed your mind day after day with power, with certainty, with a voice that reminds you of who you really are, then the old voice loses volume, not by force, but by frequency. That's why auto-suggestion is not optional. It is the method, the tool, the mechanism by which you reprogram who you are at the core. And how does it work? You play this again.
You speak the lines aloud, not casually, but with energy. You memorize the phrases that struck you. You repeat them in your mind when resistance rises. You let this message become your mental software. You don't listen for entertainment. You listen for identity installation. Because you are not just here to feel better. You are here to become unrecognizable. Let me show you something. Close your eyes and say this to yourself. I am not afraid. I act without hesitation. I am focused. I am certain. I am becoming who I was meant to be. Feel what happens in your body when you say those words. Do you feel it shift? That's not imagination. That's neural reinforcement. That's your identity being updated in real time. Now multiply that by 90 days. You say it once, it's a spark. You say it every morning for 90 days, it's a circuit. And you speak it until it becomes your baseline, until the words don't just sound strong, they are your voice. Because here's the law. What you feed forms you. What you repeat becomes you. So don't let this message fade. Don't treat it like a video. Treat it like a ritual. Build your morning around it. Make it part of your environment. And if someone asks why you keep playing the same message again and again, tell them this. Because I'm not here to be entertained. I'm here to be rebuilt. Your mind is programmable. Always has been. The only question is, who's writing the code? From this moment forward, you are. So play this again. Speak the words with fire. Walk into your day with certainty. Because every time you repeat power, you weaken fear. And now let's close this chapter the only way a man committed to transformation should. You've listened. You've absorbed truth after truth. Not theories, but tools. But now comes the most important part. You walk not as the man who started this video, but as the man who has already become what he used to chase. You don't move like you're trying. You don't speak like you're hoping. You walk like it's done. That's the posture of a man with power, not because he knows everything, but because he knows himself. So from this moment forward, you move differently. You walk into the gym like the transformation already happened. You step into your work like the breakthrough already came. You make decisions like success is already unfolding behind the scenes. Because guess what? It is. Everything is working in your favor, but only if you act like it. Faith is not passive. Faith moves, faith builds. Faith walks like the outcome is certain. And that's not delusion. That's identity. That's alignment. So before this video ends, before you step back into the world, I want you to say this with power, out loud, spine tall, chest forward. I am not afraid. I act without hesitation. Everything is working in my favor, and I move like it. Now say it again, slower, and mean it. I am not afraid. I act without hesitation. Everything is working in my favor, and I move like it. That is your identity script. Now you don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to understand the fire that's burning in your chest. You just need to keep going, because the world rewards the man who moves with certainty. Not knowing, not explanation, certainty. You don't have to explain your decisions to people who haven't earned the right to hear them. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need a green light to act. You are the green light. You're not waiting for a breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. And every action you take from this moment forward, it must reflect that. Move like the man who already has what he came for. Speak like someone whose voice creates the result. Wake up tomorrow like momentum is waiting for you. Because it is. The universe responds to certainty. Life bends to belief. And the version of you who used to hesitate, he doesn't exist anymore. Because now you walk like it's done. Let them wonder what changed. Let them feel the shift when you walk into a room. Let them sense the silence in your presence. The kind of silence that doesn't come from not knowing, but from knowing too much to waste words. You've done the mental work. Now walk it out. Every room you enter, every action you take, every plan you make it from the man who already is. And if you ever forget, you come back to this video. You press play again, and you remember who you really are. This isn't just a motivational message. This is a mental installation, and you don't install it once. You live it, you rehearse it, you become it.